I can't. I'm gone.
Okay, you got your color out.
Yes. Thank you, dear. Say hello to everyone. She's so shy. Good morning. Good Saturday morning, everyone. And welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons with Lon. Um, it's a very, very chilly morning. Uh, but I thought we'd do something kind of fun this morning. Uh, as you know, I mentioned it a million times. My friend Jim Prokowski and myself, uh, for movie projects, or a movie project that is on again, off again over the years. Uh, but it finally manifested as a novel called Aleister Crowley: Revolt of the Magicians, and it's available, on Amazon, and it's available on Kindle and things like that too. But anyway, it's a fantasy. Okay, it's meant to be a fantasy screenplay where a young Aleister Crowley is the main character, and it has it's very loosely based on the time period of the revolt of the Golden Dawn, where Crowley joins the Golden Dawn, and it soon fractures. And so it's a fantasy. Okay, don't think that it's not a fantasy. Uh, but in it, uh, well, in legend, Aleister Crowley and MacGregor Mathers, the great Golden Dawn adept, in legend, they had a magical duel. Because once they had a falling out, every time either one of them stubbed their toe, they blamed the other on a magical attack of some kind. And because they were both great magicians, the stories get blown up in the retelling. But it is a fact that when the members of the Golden Dawn started to revolt against Mathers, who had been living in Paris and not really living up to their expectations, that he did not take it well, and was most likely, at least subconsciously, bad vibing them at the very best, and working magically against them at the very worst. But it's a dramatic thing to think about, and it's part of the plot of Aleister Crowley: Revolt of the Magicians. And I'm going to share, for some reason this morning, I thought I would share the Beelzebub, because apparently, according to legend anyway, MacGregor Mathers evoked Beelzebub, or Beelzebub, to attack Crowley and the members of the Golden Dawn, and all their misfortunes during that time period is blamed on Mathers' curse. So I'm reimagining it. So I've got chamomile tea here because I feel like Peter Rabbit. Okay. Now I'm going to read two sections because the scenes flash back and forth. But if you can imagine that in Mather's home temple, he's preparing to do a great conjuration by using or abusing the sacred magic of Abramelin the Mage, a book that he translated a few years earlier from manuscripts that were found in the Bibliothèque Arsenal in Paris. Now, we've since discovered historically that the fragments of the manuscript that he translated were indeed just that, fragments of the sacred magic of Abramelin the Mage, and that so that left his translation sort of incomplete. And since then, there's been efforts to translate directly from German, which was part of its original sequence of translations. And so it's a much bigger manuscript than Mather's translation, which was from the French. Be that as it may, with that background knowledge, here we go. Mather's getting ready to curse the rebel members of the Golden Dawn and Crowley. Interior shot of Mather's home temple. Working like a man possessed, Mathers arranges his home temple for a special ceremony. He puts oil in the lamp that hangs over the square altar in the center of the room. He fills the censer with charcoal and frankincense. Finally, he opens the French doors to the balcony and lugs out a 50-pound bag of fine sand. He pours the sand into a shallow box just outside the doors. He gets down on his hands and knees and smooths the sand to a perfect surface. Over the faint sound of buzzing flies, the scene fades to black. And then goes to another scene, which we will skip over, but if you had the book, you'd be following along the plot. What's he going to do with that sandbox on his balcony? We're skipping ahead. Fade into the interior night shot of Mather's home temple. Mathers, in full magical regalia, enters the room. He holds a black wooden wand about 4 feet long in one hand and his translation of the Book of the Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage in the other. He sets the book and wand down on the altar and lights the lamp, then kindles the incense. He kneels before the altar and mumbles a prayer that is at first inaudible, then rises to a crescendo at the end. Hear me and make all spirits subject unto me, so that every spirit of the firmament and of the ether, upon the earth and under the earth, on dry land and in the water, of whirling air and of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God, be obedient unto me. He gets up. He opens the book and tears out a magic square. He then steps forward through the double doors to the sandbox on the balcony. He kneels near the box and carefully places the magic square in the middle of the sand. In the name of the true and living God Most High, who created the world and all things in heaven and hell, do I now summon from the pit the great Prince Beelzebub. At the word Beelzebub, he draws a dagger from his robe and slashes the palm of his left hand. He holds the bleeding hand over the sandbox and allows the dripping blood to completely soak the magic square. The temple room and balcony begin to shake violently. The sandbox stops shaking, but we see movement under the sand. Now, swelling from the center, a cone rises like a volcano, and we hear the sound of 1,000,000 flies buzzing. Mathers gets up and backs several feet into the temple room. A huge black fly now breaks the surface of the sand. It grows to the size of a full-grown hog and stares threateningly at Mathers with its huge, segmented eyes. The buzzing noise is deafening. Mathers screams at the creature. "Come not in that form!" You knew he was going to say that. "Come not in that form, I command you. Put on human visage or else back to the pit. Human form!" Instantly, Beelzebub transforms into the unthreatening image of an elderly vicar of the Anglican Church. Mathers rises to speak, but nothing is coming out. The vicar, Beelzebub, however, seems anxious to talk. It speaks in a calm, sweet voice. "You look surprised to see me. You came so quickly, I thought a supreme prince would be more reluctant." "Not at all. The greater the devil, the more pleased to be invited." Mathers, remembering his proper role in the ceremony, barks roughly. "I am a great and terrible magician." "You are a great, terrible magician." "I am armed with the authority of the Most High God and mine holy guardian angel." "You are armed with the authority of the Most High God, and..." Beelzebub looks to the left and to the right. Seeing he's alone in the room with Mathers, he smiles most pleasantly. "Your holy guardian angel?" Mathers extends his wand through the open windows. "I am your master, and in token of your loyalty, you will lay your hand upon my rod and swear obedience unto me." Beelzebub strokes his chin thoughtfully like a good vicar. "Where does it say I must do that?" "In the book of the sacred magic." Beelzebub smiles and respectively reaches both his hands to touch the wand, as ordered. "I see." Beelzebub pauses for a moment, then violently grabs the wand with both hands. He jerks Mathers within inches of the sandbox. We again hear the sound of buzzing flies. Beelzebub's head reverts to that of a fly, and he sticks his hideous face in Mathers' face and gives it one huge lick with the protruding tongue. Then, in a very loud and cynical voice, You mean your translation of the book? Mathers is terrified. The thought had never occurred to him that something very important might have been lost in translation. Beelzebub releases the wand and returns to human form. Mathers falls back, wiping the stinking fly juice from his face. He can barely compose himself. I have a job for you. Speak. I have enemies. And that's where we'll leave that little episode from the book. Aleister Crowley, Revolt of the Magicians. If you haven't read it and it sounds amusing to you, please get it. But realize that it was created for the purpose of creating a screenplay or a screen treatment of Aleister Crowley, Revolt of the Magicians, which is entirely fictional, but based on actual historic events. Anyway, that's it for Saturday morning cartoons. Let's get on with our weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow for Sunday school. And continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.